Hey everybody, welcome to our webinar. If you are here with me, all right, perfect. I'm seeing some people. Hey everybody, send me a message in the chat if you're here with me. You might just have to change where it says to, just make sure it says to everyone. Yes, so you do have the capability to chat, so I want to make sure that works. Send me a chat, let me know where you're calling from, let me know what you teach. Let me know how long you've been using Duolingo for Schools, or if you're new to Duolingo for Schools. And I can introduce myself as well. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bridget. I work for Duolingo for Schools. I run our Educators Network. So if you're not part of our Educators Network, I'm going to be talking about it today and inviting you to join us. I am a past language teacher. I taught 5 years of middle school and high school French in upstate New York before I moved to France, which is where I am now. Everybody, hey, thanks for being here. Perfect. Okay, so the chat's working. So you're going to see, so we have the chat feature. We also have a Q&A feature. So if you have a question specifically, feel free to either write in the chat or as a Q&A, as a question, and so that I could see. And if for whatever reason I don't get to your questions, I'll make sure to reach out afterwards. Let me share my screen. Everyone. Now. Hey, we have a Spanish teacher here. Been on Duolingo since 2014. Classroom just started this week with my kids, and I've been a teacher for 5 years. Well, welcome. Thanks for being here. Any questions you have? About Duolingo Educators Network, highly suggest joining. We have a lot of teachers who've been using Duolingo in their classrooms for years, and they're always eager to help answer any questions you have. We also collaborate, share resources, so it's a really, really great group to be part of. So we'll just wait a couple minutes, see if anyone else joins us. After you've introduced yourself in the chat, I have a little bit of an icebreaker question so we can get to know each other a little bit better. I want to know, what is your favorite place you've ever traveled to and why? So I'm going to write this in the chat. So let me know what's your favorite place you've ever traveled to and exactly why. Perfect. So this time works better for you. Thanks. Yeah. Any feedback you have too about time, really appreciate it. I'm glad this one works better for you. Hey, David, nice to see you. So tell me, everybody, what is your favorite place you've ever been to? Anywhere, and why? Exactly. I need some ideas for my next vacation. I would say for me, the favorite place I've ever been to would probably be Sicily. More specifically, Agrigento, Sicily. It's just the water, it's crystal blue. They're just beautiful Roman Greek ruins, and the food is amazing. The weather, Sicily is just a very beautiful place in general. It's an amazing region, so I really, really enjoyed it there. Hey everybody, favorite places in Japan? I want to go to Japan, it's so bad. I taught English there straight after college. It has a special place in my heart. People, food, scenery, all gorgeous. Yeah, I want to go to Japan so bad. I've been taking some going through the path on Duolingo for Japanese, but I would love to visit anywhere in Asia, really. I've spent so much time in Europe, France, and Italy, bouncing between those two countries because those are the languages I studied and speak, but I need to venture elsewhere. Favorite place is Boston. I love Boston. Boston is beautiful. Or Yucatan, Mexico. Amazing. Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. So just a little bit of Uzbekistan. Samarkand is in Uzbekistan. It's really amazing in real life, and you used to see it in pictures only. Cool, cool. Tell me a little bit about Uzbekistan and what exactly, what's amazing about it. Is it like the scenery? Is it the weather? Is it the food? Is it the people? Let me know a little bit more. But thanks everyone for being here. A little bit of housekeeping rules, things to know before we move forward. It's just me up here, as you could see. I'm going to be pausing, checking the chat as much as I can. Please feel free to ask questions there, or use the Q&A feature as well. If for whatever reason I don't get a chance to answer your question or your comment or concern, I could reach out to you after the session by email, so I could answer your questions. So yeah, let me know if you do have any questions, though. Like I said, I'll do my best to take a look as well. And a little other things to know. Today we're going to be, of course, talking about student streak societies, motivating daily student participation. We're also going to be discussing an opportunity for you to get swag for your classroom. So at the end of the session, I'm going to be presenting this opportunity and how you can get swag for your classroom. And I will be also sending, for those of you who stay for the session today, I'll be sending you a certification of completion by email. So for your continuing education hours, for example. So thanks again for being here, everyone. So as I mentioned, today we're going to talk about the science behind the streaks and how exactly they can help motivate your students outside of the classroom. So I had mentioned I am a past language teacher. I spent 5 years teaching French before I moved to France just last year. And I remember one of my main goals for my students when I was teaching was for them to become curious and lifelong learners outside of my classroom, which is exactly one of the reasons why I really love the streak feature, because it really encourages students to become daily active learners for extended periods of time, hopefully for life, right? So let's take a look a little bit more about the magic behind the streaks and what to know about the streaks. So whether you just started using Duolingo or if you've been at it for years, you're probably familiar with the streak. This is a feature that tracks the number of days in a row that you've completed a lesson, and they're a huge point of pride for our learners. Thousands of people share their Duolingo streaks on social media every day. And actually right now there are over 6 million people who have a streak of 7 days or more. So a whole week straight of learning on Duolingo or more, 6 million people. And I'm sure that you want to count some of your students among that group, that all exclusive streak society. So at first glance, the streak seems like just another fun element in Duolingo's gamified learning experience. And it is really fun. But it's more than just a cool, fun stat. It's really designed to keep you and your students motivated towards their language learning goals. And we actually utilize habit building research to continuously improve the experience and continuously improve the streaks for your students. So as you know, with any personal goal that takes time and effort, developing a consistent habit is the name of the game, and language learning and your students are no different. As the research shows, if you repeat an action often enough in the same context, the act of doing it is going to start to feel automatic. So with a steady habit, something as daunting as studying a new language for some of your students can feel as natural to your daily routine as brushing your teeth or maybe scrolling through social media. So I have a question. Good morning. Thanks for being here, Sharon. I have a question in the chat. Let me know. What is your streak? I'm really curious. Open up your application, your Duolingo application. Let me know what your streak is. No shame if your streak's 0. That's totally fine. You could start from here on out, right? Let me know what your streak is. Just yesterday, I'll tell you what my streak is. We'll see who could boast the biggest streak, who could beat me. Just yesterday, I hit a streak of 200 days, and I was really, really excited. It should be a little bit more than that, but I've been using streak freezes too much, and we'll talk about that later. So, wow, okay, 35, 74, 141. Amazing. David, you just started yesterday. Did you lose your streak recently? Your biggest streak was 200. Good, awesome. So, can anyone boast higher than 200 days? 64, getting higher. Hope to get in the Diamond Week. Yes, the league's another motivating factor for learning, of course. Awesome. So it looks like so far I have the biggest streak, but 2 days ago, this session, we had someone with over 2,000 day streak, which is really impressive. So awesome. I lost my 1600-day streak last year. Oh no, I'm so sorry. We're going to be talking a little bit about losing your streak and what that means as well, and things that we put in place to hopefully avoid that situation, because of course that could be demotivating. But I'm really happy to see that you, despite losing it, you've continued and you have a streak now. So let's jump in and talk a little bit more about the streak features. So animations and milestones. If you're new to Duolingo, especially as we're seeing here with this 3-day streak, extending your streak is especially gratifying because, 2 to 3 days, that indicates a 50% increase, whereas 200 to 201 days that I'm going to today is only a 0.5% increase, right? So when you're especially new to Duolingo, these animations, these milestones, they really help to get you hooked because they act as like an exciting early reminder that you're building a habit day by day, every day, step by step down, the Duolingo path into your language learning journey. Duolingo's built-in animations and milestone markers serve as celebratory, exciting moments for your students to encourage them as they progress through their learning path. The streak milestones include 1 week, 1 month, 100 days, as well as 1 year and beyond. So tap into this excitement and encourage your students to share their streak with you and others. And it's even better if they can get a screenshot of these milestones and these animations and can share that with you and other adults and other students in their life. Now let's talk about loss aversion. So we can see here a screenshot of my account just a few days ago at 198, right? As I mentioned, I'm a little embarrassed by the overuse of streak freezes. Life gets hectic sometimes, right? But I'm also so grateful for them, and we're gonna be talking about why. So with that being said, I want to talk about a scientific phenomenon that I definitely feel, and I'm sure so many of you feel as well in the chat. And this is called loss aversion. It's an internal bias in your brain that makes you averse to losing something, like your Duolingo streak. So the longer your streak grows, the research shows, the more likely you are to practice every day to protect it, because you don't want to lose it, of course. So this is called loss aversion. So for schools in particular, tap into that loss aversion. Focus on building that streak with your students during the school year, for example, so that they continue to practice into their holiday breaks, into their summer and beyond. Make it a competition, right? Challenge them to keep their streak going and watch that beauty of that internal bias called loss aversion motivate your students to keep going every day. So now we talked about streak freezes a little bit, right? So speaking of them and my overuse of them, embarrassingly so, losing a streak can have the exact opposite effect that we want. It can be demotivating for students, which is why we have streak flexibility with streak freezes, because research shows that offering a little slack when pursuing goals is more motivating than a rigid set of rules for your students. So here at Duolingo, we offer streak freezes to keep learners dedicated to learning even when they need to skip a day or two of practice. And it avoids that very demotivating experience of losing your streak and seemingly all that hard work, which we know as teachers, we know that the skills, the learning, the vocab, it's all still there that they've learned. But that number representing that learning to your students is so gratifying to see. And they're just simply not going to want to lose it. So if you want to learn more, for those of you who don't know, we have a Duolingo blog where we post about our research, about our features, about our company, products as well. For example, we just introduced an Duolingo Math on iOS, so you're able to download that on iOS now. So we post all about that on our blog. So I'm going to share with you the links to the blogs where I got some information specifically about our streaks, about habit forming, that's going to be useful for your students. So now let's talk about, well, how can I foster a streak society in my classroom? So I have a couple tips for you. The first one is to encourage daily use. As I mentioned, make it a competition. Who can have the best streak? Next, use the product daily yourself, as so many of you I see in the chat already are. So use the product daily yourself. Show off your streak to your students as well. Pamela in our Educators Network, she does just this. She always shows her streak to her students, and she encourages them to continue their streaks as well. Also encourage other adults to get involved. Administration, other teachers in the building, or even their parents to get involved. So students are competing against them for their streak too. Next, Duo and Friends, they send you daily reminders, I'm sure you noticed, to remind you to do your lessons so you don't lose your streak. So take advantage of this. Encourage your students to allow those push notifications on their account so that they're continuously being reminded by Duo and his friends to do their lesson before it's too late and they lose their streak. Next, call it a streak society, as I am now, right? This encourages that exclusivity of it, a streak society, right? Which makes it really exciting and gratifying to obtain. So invite students into this coveted streak society with certificates, a celebration when they reach certain streaks. You could even make an annual award ceremony if you like, or an after-school event dedicated to this group of dedicated language learners who you could call the Duolingo Streak Society, right? Encourage all of your students to participate so that they could also be part of this streak society. And lastly, remind your students that they are forming a learning habit, which takes time, of course. Duolingo does make it easy with these daily bite-sized goals, but talk about that small feeling of accomplishment every day that your students will get after doing their Duolingo lesson and seeing those animations, seeing those milestones, right? Remind them of the big picture goal and the steps they're taking to get there. Celebrate those small achievements with your students in class, and they're going to be hooked on language learning in no time. So next, I'm going to share some Duolingo resources as well. I'm just going to take a pause. I'm going to check the chat if anyone has any questions at all. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Another streak of 40. Great. Awesome. A lot of awesome streaks. This is definitely something to be proud of. Perfect. So I'm going to share some Duolingo resources with you now. So to help your students stay motivated, to build that learning habit, as well as to help visualize their learning, right? So we have this student glossary here. So this could be where students can be writing down their vocab, and as students move through their path and their vocab, therefore their glossary is going to grow, right? It's going to help as a visual reminder to your students just how much their effort is paying off, just how much that small bite-sized goal day by day is compounding in something much bigger, right? So I'm going to share this in the chat. This is the link to our help center where we have so many different resources, and that one specifically goes to the student glossary. Next, reward your students with certificates created and shared by educators in our Educators Network. So this certificate here was created by an educator in an educator network. As I mentioned earlier, we create resources, we share them often as well. So I'm going to link that as well to our shared Google Drive, where we have so many resources there that you could check out. So celebrate your students, give them little certificates so that they can be proud of their learning as well, and then show others how proud they are of their learning. Next, so how can students start using their newfound vocabulary and phrases? We have something called a daily language practice plan. So this includes things like Writing Wednesday, where students can write an original story. Maybe it could be based upon the Duolingo stories, for example. Or Festive Friday, where students are researching and learning some tongue twisters in the target language. So these are just some examples of things that your students can be doing with their language and as they move through their path. So I'm going to drop this in the chat as well, a link to this PDF so that you could download it. And next, incorporating language learning into your daily routine. It could be something as simple as, setting your phone in your target language. So encouraging students to set their phone in their target language so they're always interacting with the language. They're seeing more and more vocab. Or it could be something like listening to a playlist, listening to music, or listening to a podcast. For example, the Duolingo podcast. So I'm also going to share this with you in the chat. Oh, if I could find the chat again, sorry. There we are. And I've been talking about our Educators Network here and there, and I want to invite you to our Educators Network if you're not a part of our Educators Network. So it's a group of individuals, teachers from all over the world. There's about 2,500 of us now. And as I mentioned, we're sharing resources, ideas. We're always there answering questions if you have it. Both teachers who utilize Duolingo and have been for years, as well as our team, myself included. So join us there. I just shared the link as well. So a little bit about from our Educators Network and some ideas as how as teachers hold their students accountable and utilize these streaks to motivate them. So we have Tanya here. We see a streakometer that she had created. So we see your streak is on fire. So she keeps track of her students' streaks and she awards their progress. So this is really great because that visual clue there as to where your students are in comparison to other students as well. And so it kind of becomes a bit of a competition. I encourage you to get other teachers involved and perhaps be posting their streaks as well to encourage your students to do the same. Next, we have Tom, who gives out a streak certificate, as well as a special Duolingo prize for those with a huge streak, which is presented in front of the entire school in an assembly. So really, rewarding those students with these accomplishments, and then, it becomes a really big point of pride for them. And then next we have Pamela. She mentions that she makes a point to keep her streaks up to model for her students and encourage her students to do the same. So Pamela, she was the one who actually had over 2,000 day streak, which is very, very impressive. So next, I want to ask if there's any feedback at all. So we really love hearing from our teachers. We're continuously adding new features, new resources to help you. It's another reason why to get involved in our Educators Network, because we're always turning there to talk to teachers as to what exactly they need for their students, for the classroom. We're showing teachers sometimes their features before they're even released, so that we can get some feedback from it. So we really love hearing from you as to what you need, because even though, for example, I was a past language teacher, I'm not anymore. I'm not in the classroom utilizing Duolingo for schools with hundreds of students, such as yourselves. So you're really the experts in this. You know what you need. You know exactly what your students need. And we love getting that feedback. So let me know either in the Educators Network or here in the chat, how can we improve the streak experience for your students? What kind of resources might be helpful? So let me know a little bit more about some feedback. And as I mentioned, join us on Facebook, right? I can't say it often enough. Please join us on our Educators Network. Come collaborate with us. Come share some resources, some ideas, and learn from others as well. But if you're not on Facebook, you're welcome to join us on our other social media accounts. We have Twitter, we have TikTok. We're also on LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. So that is the end of our presentation. And if you're still here, you could, and if you're interested in learning a little bit about how to get swag for your students, I'm going to be talking about that now. So if you're interested in giving professional development, and of course, getting swag, which who isn't interested in getting swag, we have this opportunity for you. So we suggest that you download this slide deck, schedule your professional development session, and invite attendees. Fill out a presenter form to share some information with us so you can get your swag, as well as invite your attendees to fill out an attendee feedback form too. So the first 50 teachers to do this, to download this slide deck or any other professional development events that I've given these last few weeks. For example, I've given one on our leaderboards, our classroom leaderboards. I've talked a little bit about Duolingo podcasts, and I've talked a little bit about gamification in the classroom utilizing Duolingo. So you're able to download any of these slide decks, give the professional development to your department or other world language teachers that you know in order to get swag. So we're going to send first 50 teachers a swag box that includes stickers, an insulated tumbler, a wool Duolingo beanie, as well as more. So it's a really big swag pack as a just as a thank you, and as well as for your students. So if you might be thinking, well, how am I going to recruit some people? So some ideas. You could schedule a PD session with your department. If you have a world language department, you could check to see if you could schedule a PD session with them. If you don't have a world language department, or you don't meet very often for these department meetings, you could be turning to social media and collaborating and connecting with some world language teachers, either on Twitter. You could tag us, we could reshare it, or you could be recruiting teachers from the Educators Network as well. You could be posting in the Educators Network, see who's available, see who's interested in discussing a little bit more about student strengths, motivation with your students, or any of our other professional development webinars. So you might be asking yourself, where do I find these PD materials? So all of these PD materials will be found in our Educators Network. So in this image, we see the discussion tab. Right next to that, you're going to find the tab called Guides. When you scroll all the way down, you're going to find Professional Development. And there, you're going to find all of the slide decks, including this one I'm going to upload today on our Educators Network under Guides. So you're going to have all of our slide decks of previous PD sessions, as well as this PD session. You're going to find the presenter feedback form. So after you've recruited some teachers, you've done your PD session, you must fill this form out in order to get your swag, of course. So we know that you did this. So we're going to ask you some details, such as who attended, a picture, an attendee list if you have it, as well as some information as to how it went. And then you'll find the attendee feedback form there too. And we ask that you provide this to your attendees so that we can know a little bit on their end as to how the PD went, as well as any kind of PD that they would like to see in the future. So if you need to make this a little longer, it's about 25 minutes or so. If you need to make this a little longer and you would like to create a work session around it, here are some suggestions. We suggest discussing techniques from the session, brainstorming new ideas together, breaking out into groups to brainstorm what these ideas might look like in the classroom specifically. And then lastly, we suggest having an action item, something you could walk away with after the PD session, creating a new lesson plan, implementing it, tomorrow in your classes, for example, either around one of your ideas or our ideas, or our educators in the Educators Network. So these are just some examples as to how you could kind of create this PD and take this PD and create it into a work session. So any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us at educators@duolingo.com anytime. If you're new to Duolingo for Schools and you need a little bit of help to understand how to use the platform, please feel free to ask us, of course, in the Educators Network, but you could also check out our Help Center. This is going to be accessed from the left-hand side of your Duolingo for Schools dashboard. So thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm going to check the chat now. I see some things. Yes. A way to view the streak of the students enrolled in your Duolingo class would be great, as right now you have to bid. Yes. So great idea. Currently, there isn't a way to see the streak on your teacher dashboard. However, if you download a report, a CSV report of your students' progress in your class, you are able to see the streaks there. So that makes it a little bit easier so that you have a CSV file and you could see all of your student streaks. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you, everybody. Can I give PD next year in January? Yeah, absolutely. You could definitely give PD next year in January. We're going to be having more sessions from now until then. So you have a choice of a lot of different PD to give and still participate for the swag. Yes. So the first 50 teachers are getting the swag box. Not quite sure as to when we'll hit that quota, but you're welcome to give this PD session at any time. And feel free to reach out to me at educators@duolingo.com if you have any questions, concerns, or you need anything else in order to host a PD session. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for being here. If for whatever reason I missed anyone's question, I'll make sure to reach out to you separately. And I hope to see you in the Educators Network soon. Thank you, everybody. See you then.